England enjoyed the ultimate in sporting glory, Wembley Stadium 1966, and that grueling struggle against West Germany in the final. England were football champions of the world. But that was all of 26 years ago, the elusive World Cup crown avoiding football's motherland ever since. Unlike England, the distinct orange shirts of the Netherlands have never been worn by a world champion team, but they have come closer, much closer since. Runners-up in 1974 and again in 1978, they continued to chase the ultimate crown. Today, a day of reckoning for both teams. How will they go? Can the Dutch cope without the magical Ruud Gullit? Can England win without their trump card, Paul Gascoigne?
Welcome to all of you watching on SBS in Australia, along with viewers on Mnet in South Africa, Sky Television in New Zealand, and in the United States itself, with us tonight through SAI. The ever-widening nature of this wonderful world game has increased even more. The difficulties of joining the elite band of 24 nations in the World Cup finals. Such a case in point is tonight's showdown here in Rotterdam, because such are the standards set by Norway in this qualifying group. It looks very much as though one of two enormous European footballing nations in action here will miss out. Will Holland or England make it? This game will go a long way towards answering the questions. Played in front of 48,000 totally committed fans, an atmosphere of rare tension, even at this exalted level of the game. The two countries drew at Wembley in April after England had led by 2-0, of course. They have identical records in the group, 4 wins, 3 draws and just 1 defeat. Both nations, of course, beaten in Norway. Holland just hold the edge on goal difference. But if it's still level on points after tonight, England have by far the easier final match away to San Marino. The Dutch play in Poland. Dick Advocaat has made 3 changes from the side which swamped San Marino 7-0. The burly Feyenoord defender John de Wolf is brought in. He's a specialist marker. The Dutch manager has also recalled Erwin Koeman after an absence of 20 months. Erwin, the older brother of the captain Ronald Koeman, and more fraternal links with Ronald de Boer, the twin of Frank. Ronald de Boer with 2 goals in 2 previous substitute appearances for Holland. He's in for the first time tonight from the start. But Graham Taylor's team selection has been heavily criticised by the press corps travelling with the team. The charge is change for change's sake. The England manager counters that Tony Dorigo and Alan Shearer are needed because of injuries to Stuart Pearce and Les Ferdinand. That the choice of Carlton Palmer in place of the suspended Gascoigne is sensible, because Palmer played so well against the Dutch at Wembley. But the real surprise is Paul Parker, after more than 2 years out of the side, is reinstated at right back, and Paul Merson, enigmatic with Arsenal, getting the vote ahead of his club colleague Ian Wright in attack. Referee Karl-Josef Assenmacher from Germany. Such is the importance. It's a game I'm sure will need a firm hand from the officials. England want to take the initiative from the start if they can. Graham Taylor feels that there's just been one real blot on England's record, that very lacklustre display in Norway. But England have a very committed group of players who are very anxious to rather ram the words of criticism that have been appearing all over the English newspapers today back down the throats of those critics. Little flick from Overmars, who got that late penalty at Wembley to give the Dutch a draw that even by their own admission they didn't deserve. Paul Ince going in, then Jan Wouters for Holland, touch off by Ronald de Boer. Brian Roy, plenty of width on either flank for Holland. Roy on the left, Overmars on the right. Erwin Koeman. England a little troubled by the way the team arrived at the stadium. Barely an hour before the kick-off, they were taken to a wrong part of the ground, had to battle their way through the fans. Here's Lee Sharp with a header down. Merson, who is a talented technical player, but he's penalised there. Holland try and take the free kick quickly, not successfully. Paul Ince with a shot that's dipping all the while, but not quickly enough. Amazingly, England playing in Holland against the Dutch for the first time since 1969. Ed de Goey, now established in the Dutch goal, but a relatively recent recruit to football of this level. Dennis Bergkamp chasing. David Seaman with not the easiest of clearance, the ball up off the ground. Alan Shearer characteristically putting himself about early on. 7 is David Platt, and that was a dive against his opposite number in terms of captaincy, Ronald Koeman. Something that Platt perhaps has picked up in Italy. Wasn't fooling the referee. Really big night all around Europe in World Cup qualifiers tonight, with the final placings soon to be determined next month. Here's Ronald de Boer. Overmars, the find of Dutch football last season. Tony de Rigo's got plenty of pace, but Overmars gets the better of him. And Brian Roy had come in perhaps a little too far, or you could say the cross was played over-ambitiously by Overmars. But de Rigo, who's certainly not short of speed, came second there against this very talented player from Ajax, Mark Overmars. Holland twice got to World Cup finals in the 70s, losing to the host nation on each occasion. In 74 in West Germany, as it was then, in 78 in Argentina. 2 tournaments that England didn't qualify for. 78 was the last final stage that they weren't represented at. Lee Sharp, who's done so well for Manchester United. Sharp again. Merson is offside, and in any case, de Goey blocks well. But there is a feeling in the England camp that Holland don't defend too well. It's a close call, but the linesman had the flag up straight away. And while we were assessing the replay, Holland were pressing on, attacking the end of the ground here in Rotterdam, behind which the England fans are. Estimates of around 5,000 of them here. Big John de Wolf, the Wolfman, trying to get some power in the throw towards Rijkaard. Clearance for England came from Gary Pallister. The ball forward from David Platt was slightly askew. Frank de Boer. Brian Roy, who plays in Italy with Foggia. Not one of the more fashionable clubs, but he can't deny his talent, particularly on his left foot. And Paul Parker really picked, I'm sure, with Roy in mind, because of his ability to change direction in a defensive sense quickly, as Roy tries to do so, moving forward on the attack for the Dutch. And Parker did his job then. Just. Alan Shearer has been instructed to really get up on Ronald Koeman if he can. Koeman the sweeper. Dorigo. And a stray one there from Bergkamp. Taken on by Sharp, who played on this ground with Manchester United in the Cup Winners' Cup final successfully 2.5 years ago, along with England colleagues tonight, Gary Pallister and Paul Ince. There is Pallister. Came off Ince. Adams making sure that Bergkamp couldn't chase it. Ronald de Boer was there quickly as well. Real brotherly feel to this Dutch side, with the twins de Boer and the brothers Koeman. But Dick Advocaat has not picked them for family reasons, of course, but for footballing reasons. Wouters, the motor in midfield for Holland. Ronald de Boer, Bergkamp allowed to turn, and England might have rued that, but Bergkamp took his eye off the ball. Overmars confronting Dorigo again. And another terrific piece of work. It's Bergkamp, the first chance of this critical World Cup qualifier, coming in the 7th minute, coming for Dennis Bergkamp, who in his time with Ajax before his move to Italy was regularly the leading scorer in the top division here. That really wasn't worthy of him, and it was a let-off for England, but it was another example of the danger of Overmars and the difficulties of Tony Dorigo. Merson, who has been used primarily by his club in a midfield role, he does like playing further forward, as Graham Taylor has picked him to do tonight. Ince. Parker, who played in the World Cup semi-final in Turin. Here's Roy. Bergkamp seeing off Ince for the moment. Wouters hit it hard, hit it true, hit it straight into the stomach of David Seaman. Seaman, who's never been on a losing side for England. This would not be a good time to start. It's his 11th appearance. He's edged ahead of Chris Woods this season. And Shearer sent tumbling by De Wolf, who picked up a yellow card at Wembley when he came on as a second-half substitute in April. He didn't have Shearer to contend with that night, of course. Gary Pallister, watched by Rijkaard. Lee Sharp to take the free kick, left-footed to try and veer it in, where any sort of deflection might do the job for England. But it's too close to De Goey, who hung on well. He got the free kick. So many of the predictions about this game have talked of it ending as a draw. Still possible if that happens for both of these teams to qualify. That would need Norway to lose both their remaining games. They play, of course, in Poland tonight and have to go to Turkey. De Wolf. Here's Frank Rijkaard, who's seen so much, done so much at the high levels of the game, but one of the players in the Dutch side who would really rue the consequence of failure tonight, because that would be a signal, I'm sure, for change for the Rijkaards, the Wouters, maybe Ronald Koeman, to possibly be passed by a younger generation. Platt. Sharp, but it's well away from its intended target, Alan Shearer. I'm sure England would have loved to have had Les Ferdinand available tonight. He played particularly well, of course, against Poland in the last game last month for England, but also damaged the Dutch defences with his speed at Wembley, particularly in that early stage that took England into a 2-goal lead, and they seemed set fair then for the United States. So much has happened since then. Alan Shearer's not one to stand on any ceremony and let a big defender bully him. Case of the bite a bit. And De Wolf will have views of his own about that. The referee's view was that it was a free kick, a little word for Shearer, and nothing more. Platt, who has the captaincy, of course, in the absence of Stuart Pearce. Shearer, 11 months since his last international. Palmer. There's no doubt that the English journalists are gunning these days for Graham Taylor, and he lost his temper at a press conference yesterday and gave them some easy headlines to write. Dick Advocat just trying to pass a word. It can't be easy for the players to hear him. Wouters. Here's Roy. Parker using the goalkeeper. And it all worked out well enough for England. And Merson getting his head to the ball. Koeman. Ronald, that is. Oh, Ince getting into a bit of a tangle, and England for a second facing their own goal there and not really in mastery of the situation. Bergkamp, who has the ability to drop deep and make really perceptive runs. There was one there, but it was behind the player on the ball, Ronald de Boer. As soon as the ball's rolled out to Ronald Koeman, immediately an England player, in fact, two of them, Shearer and Merson, moved towards him then to try and stop the Dutch captain playing those amazing long passes of his. Bergkamp looking slippery. Ronald de Boer. Overmars, Dorigo trying to shepherd it out of play. He did touch the ball, but only as he was pushed in the back, and a free kick given against Overmars, who is still only 20. Dorigo last played in the World Cup in Poland in June, when you might remember he set up the equaliser in the closing stages that England so badly needed for Ian Wright. Platt, can he take it on here? He's past Ronald Koeman. David Platt hit it with great venom. And Ed de Goey wasn't thinking at all about holding on, just happy to parry it away. Platt with 20 England goals to his name, 7 of them coming in the 6 previous games in which he's been captain. And England have a corner with 14 minutes gone. This is Sharp. Ronald Koeman's header. Parker trying to thread it through. Bergkamp saw it coming. Roy. England on their way back in the shape of Pallister. Merson. I think Lee Sharp played for that rather, but he's got the free kick. And Graham Taylor, who is not the first England manager to have a barrage of criticism to deal with during what is, in any case, a very demanding job. But there just have been moments when he's revealed his frustrations publicly and a little unwisely. And I think yesterday's events at the press conference was one of those. How he'd love to see England get a goal here. Adams, who was in the England side that was taken apart by Marco van Basten in Dusseldorf in the European Championships in 1988. One of only 2 occasions that Holland have actually beaten England. The other was in a friendly at Wembley in 1977 when Johan Cruyff ran the show from first whistle to last. So it's taken great individual skill for the Dutch to deal with England in those only 2 victories in 11 previous international meetings. When it's come to a head-to-head really in terms of team strategy and indeed team spirit, England have usually just had the edge. Merson, but Palmer is offside. Carlton Palmer, whose wife Jenny is expecting a baby tomorrow. It would be their first child. It's a very big time personally and professionally for the player wearing England's number 4 tonight. Hooked out of harm's way by Tony Dorigo, known throughout the English game as Oz for his Australian background. Does he have as good a chance as Australia of going to the World Cup? All will be revealed. Merson spiriting it away from De Wolf, confronting Koeman, past Koeman. It's a great run by Merson. The type of thrust really to justify the selection, which took so many English pundits by surprise, but he is a player of rich talent, and that might just put him in the mood. It very nearly put England in the lead. Adams up well. Another of the Arsenal contingent here, along with David Seaman, the goalkeeper. It's very much a Manchester United stroke Arsenal construction to this England side. Overmars. Dorigo showing him the inside this time, and it wriggles through via a deflection. And Overmars just a little gingerly. Rather felt the effect of the tackle as he tried to release the ball then. A long, long way offside was Ronald de Boer. Well, there was a lot of passion in the support in the stadium before the game started, but I think the tension of it is just quelling a bit of that at the moment. There's some nail-biting going on. It's been a pretty even distribution of the game so far, but Bergkamp with a very good chance for the Dutch that he put over the top. Paul Merson with a real show of initiative for England. Bergkamp untracked in the middle of the pitch and able to challenge England closer to the edge of their penalty area at the end. Too close really for any real comfort. Platt trying to switch the play. Merson with a lot to prove. He's perhaps done his talents justice with Arsenal. And such has been the debate, but I can tell you back in England that in a radio phone-in last night, when the selection was really being given the runaround in terms of criticism, Paul Merson's wife decided to phone in to stick up for her husband. And Siemens. Cross was from Frank de Boer, who rather held his head in disappointment that it went straight to the goalkeeper. Glanced on by Merson, beating Erwin Koeman in the air. Touched back to him by Shearer. Merson on the run again, but not getting so far this time. Rijkaard. He certainly would feel that the Dutch would want to involve Mark Overmars wherever possible. And the way he's started the night, Bergkamp hurdled Adams' challenge, and then Ronald de Boer wasn't on the same wavelength. Two grew up together with Ajax, of course. Bergkamp coming to terms with the demands now of playing in Italy with Inter. Merson. Palmer's gone to the right-hand side. We should remind you, of course, no Marco van Basten, still sidelined with injury. No Ruud Gullit, of course, still in dispute with De Advocaat. And the feeling here is that if Holland do qualify, he will make himself available again for the finals, with Johan Cruijff teed up to take over the team. Wouters. De Advocaat, in changing this Dutch team, has left out the scorers of 5 of the goals against San Marino. Wim Jonk, who got 2, and Johnny Bosman, who got a hat-trick. They're both on the bench, should they be required tonight. Wim Kieft also dropped. He had a really harrowing first half against San Marino, missing several good chances. Well, the swerve on that rather deceived Adams. It looked tailor-made for the tall England centre-back to clear without any distraction. In fact, he missed the ball totally, and England get a throw. Shearer. Forward quickly by Frank de Boer to twin brother Ronald. Bergkamp. Here's De Wolf. Koeman. Wouters readily available. And Parker feeling the need to intercept then, knowing that Brian Roy was behind him. And he couldn't take the risk that the pass might just have run on out of play before Roy could have collected it. And so Holland have a corner just past the halfway mark in the first half. For Rijkaard by the near post, smothered initially by Seaman, not decisively. Overmars waiting and watching to see how best to use the ball, particularly if England were going to try and press out and get an offside. Well, Ronald Koeman's there for this devastating shot of his! And you could sense the anticipation all around the stadium as Koeman moved into position. And England nearly paid a heavy price then. Seaman quite nonchalant in the end, but the shot just rising enough for the danger to pass to the England goal. But they didn't close him down quickly enough. And it's all very well saying, well, we know all about Ronald Koeman. It requires great discipline to keep him out of harm's way. But what Koeman is more vulnerable is the way he does defend, and Straight away, he's given away a free kick to get England within range. Ince, the player impeded. The angle favouring the left footer. Ince has had a bit of shoulder problem recently. And that was quite a hefty, jarring fall. Adams getting into the wall. Oh, and the shot from Dorigo. Smacked against the outside of the post. Well, Stuart Pearce would have relished the same sort of angle, but England hardly missed him there, and I just think it was an England player that the ball deflected off. Otherwise, it might well have gone in. It might still go in for England here with Tony Adams. Is that behind for a corner? It is. And the Dutch shaken there. Suddenly Adams was free. Wasn't quite sure how to react straight away, and in hesitating, he took it wide, and the task became more difficult, too difficult for him, and he's annoyed with himself. Firecracker is thrown, and the referee will need something here, maybe even just a bit of dampening down. Is he gesturing for somebody to come on from the Dutch bench? Rijkaard missed it. That's Merson. Still Merson. They forced him wide, and the cross, for all his efforts, is simple for De Goey. Well, Graham Taylor saw a footballing firecracker from Tony Dorigo's free kick, but so nearly steered this tie England's way, and then straight afterwards, Tony Adams, who's just been penalised for a foul here, also had an opportunity to give England the huge boost of the first goal of the game, but it's still 0-0. This is Roy. And Parker with a bit more one-upmanship there in that particular duel, preventing the cross. Roy can be a tantalising figure, blessed with a lot of ability, but at times unable to fully assert himself in a match. De Wolf, who is going to be the hero tonight? What a hero scorer of a winning goal would be in this particular context. Parker this time getting too close. So the player he has his sights on, Roy. Overmars. Bergkamp and Ronald de Boer in the centre. Headed by Sharp. Merson was looking for Platt, he came behind the England captain, he recovered well, forward quickly by Dorigo. Graham Taylor does love his team to set a brisk tempo, not to get sucked in too much to slow and over-thoughtful build-up play. Sometimes that's the way in the international game. And the players in England's midfield know that they are expected to break up any rhythm that the Dutch are looking for. Haven't really found yet with any great consistency. Oh, and that's a terrible kick by Seaman, and he's saved because of an offside. And Brian Roy, who couldn't really have expected to get the ball then, it came off Ronald de Boer. Had he been able to control it, Roy might have been able to get away with it, not seeking to gain an advantage, and Seaman could have found that he wasn't able to cover his goal. But de Boer only blocked the ball, he didn't control it. Wouters. Roy. Here's De Wolf, who is playing on his home ground, of course. Feyenoord having so much success at the moment. Overmars. Rijkaard available for a short pass. And he in turn helped by Wouters of Bayern Munich. Owen Koeman, who plays for PSV. Roy. And that was well read by Pallister. Not much shape to this England move. Pallister having to work very hard to keep it going. He's done that, involving Dorigo and Merson. It's a nice touch back for Tony Dorigo, but England very short of numbers in the centre. Pallister came a long way to make the challenge. Seaman this time doing better. Probably quite pleased to get the opportunity to have another kick straight away, just to remind himself that he can deal with that type of danger. Just over half an hour gone. And it's Holland 0, England 0. Rijkaard. And Overmars. And this time, Dorigo tries the referee's patience too much. He gets a caution. And that really is indicative of the way this particular tussle has gone. It's gone against Dorigo more often than not. But he, of course, can make Overmars do some chasing into the other half of the pitch as well if England get a share of the ball in midfield. At the moment, he's been penalised, he's been booked. And Ronald Koeman pings it in to the chest of Ronald de Boer. Roy coming in as the deepest Dutchman there. Wouters, sharp. Straight onto the head of De Wolf. Hoisted away by Adams. It's not so far a particularly sophisticated football match in terms of flowing football, but have we any right to expect that with so much at stake? It's totally absorbing and hugely significant. Owen Koeman to Roy. Trying to take on Parker again. And it's pulled back for Bergkamp, who again rather just sits off the play and lets the others make the run where markers are looking. And there's no one for England looking at Dennis Bergkamp, and they can't go on all night leaving him like that. It wasn't such an easy chance as the first strike-at goal that he had. Touched on by Shearer. Covering was Koeman. And here's Frank de Boer. The twins on the same wavelength again. They were split up for a while in club football. Ronald went on from Ajax to FC Twente from Enschede. He's back at Ajax again now. Latest score, incidentally, that we've got from Poland. Poland 0, Norway 0. Wouters. Rijkaard. The dummy was thrown by Ronald de Boer, but Adams wasn't thrown by it. Off goes Shearer. Ronald Koeman. Sharp. Wouters hammering it against Ince, but it's a free kick to Holland. It's not incidentally been a very good day for the Irish. The Republic of Ireland beaten at home by Spain 3-1. Northern Ireland beaten by Denmark 1-0. Ronald de Boer. Parker, and he was impeded by Roy. Just a little bit of fine-tuning needed there by England. Paul Parker, of course, as we've been stressing, has been out of Graham Taylor's plans. He missed a number of call-ups through injury, and then when he got back with Manchester United, really, others had taken their opportunity. But I think you've seen already why Parker has been given this particular responsibility against Brian Roy. Here's Ronald de Boer. Wouters quickly on the scene. Holland trying to quicken the pace themselves. So many conundrums in this qualifying group. And it's not even sure, if Norway were to lose tonight and then lose in Turkey, that they would qualify, although when you look at the table before today, you would say they were virtually guaranteed a spot in the United States. Many a twist to the tail yet. Flat. Palmer. Merson trying to hold to stay onside. He didn't manage that. This three-man England midfield, really Palmer, Ince and Sharp, with Platt supporting whenever he's needed. He's back there now. The ball with Rijkaard. Bergkamp. Overmars. Another little drop of the shoulder, but Dorigo got in the way this time. Rijkaard. Off the head of Parker. It's a bit tight for that. Ince was not really given a chance by Lee Sharp. And here's Roy. It struck Adams. And that's Owen Koeman trying to rubber stamp his recall with something special. He was a member, of course, of the side that won the European Championship in 1988. But Dick Advocat hasn't really felt the need to call him. Rob Vichka's been the player in possession, but his club form has dipped, and he's lost his place in the national side. Off the head of De Wolf. Cross comes Koeman, in goes Dorigo, trying to get the upper hand on Overmars, but mindful of the fact that he's already been booked. Well, not too mindful the way he went in then. Rijkaard. Again, England trying to apply the squeeze in midfield, but just overstepping the mark as they do that. Released by Ronald Koeman towards Roy. Palmer. Header here for Adams. Likewise for De Wolf. Wouters. Seven minutes to go to half-time. Holland 0, England 0. Tidy work defending in midfield by Ince. Sharp, who of course has got a rare turn of pace if he can get into a position to use it. Tony Adams just waited and now has decided to go forward out of your picture to join Platt and Shearer. And that's taken first time by Palmer, who did play well against the Dutch at Wembley in April, but blotted his copybook in Poland with a rather indisciplined performance in Chorzów on a night when Graham Taylor was talking about a certain section of his team as playing like headless chickens. And I have to say that in that section was one Carlton Palmer. Personal vendettas taking over from thoughtful play. Roy. Overmars. Well, it's a measure of his confidence that he was prepared to try and take that on the volley. And the two wide players in tandem. But so far, although there has been promise for Holland, quality with the width, particularly on the right-hand side, they haven't unhinged England as yet. Merson. Shearer pulling away by the far post, hoping to guide it down. Sharp! Offside, it's saved by De Goey, and the diving header from David Platt. The flag was up. It was a miskick by Sharp. When he was well placed, you could see that Platt would probably have been given offside in any case, even if the ball had sped into the Dutch net. But Lee Sharp not at all as effective on the right foot as he is on the left. Flags up, Rijkaard puts the ball in, it's no goal though. Oh, Frank Rijkaard, who looked across the line, and that was very, very close indeed. It was a subtle run, a very sound run, but the linesman called it an illegal one. A very close call for England there, just to galvanise them again as half-time approaches. Clipped forward by Ince, to Wolf dealing with it. Not completely decisively, and then it's wasted by Ince with the second part. Rinus Israel, Dick Advocaat's assistant there, just getting his boss to sit back a bit and not perhaps give the cameras too many shots of disappointment. Overmars. Ricochet favours Dorigo. He gives Overmars just a little taste of his own medicine. To Wolf for the header. Sharp certainly raised the boot, but there was no Dutch player to be damaged by it. Well, you'd expect it to be tight between two teams with such similar records in this group. Parker prepared to pursue Roy right up into the centre circle. To Wolf, Bergkamp, Rijkaard, Bergkamp. They got to him this time. Ince to Merson. Palmer. Koeman. Well, certainly Rijkaard getting the ball in the net has got the crowd going again. Ronald Koeman, and that by his standards is really not up to scratch. There is just a little bit of a superiority complex in the Dutch footballing mentality about what they believe a technical edge over English players. They're great lovers of the passion of English league football, but they will bring out that tried and trusted English phrase, kick and rush, when they're asked to talk about the sort of problems that you have playing against England. From England's point of view, there is a belief that there is much more to their game than that. But of course, there is great passion, great heart. And they're going to need that in abundance as we move into the final minute of the first half. And David Platt trying to twist himself into a shot, planted back by Palmer. De Goey, who's known for being a good goalkeeper on his line, but despite his height, not always tested coming off it. Maybe that is one difference between playing in the Dutch league every week and playing in the English league. And I remember talking at Wembley as to whether he would be able to come through a packed penalty area to use his height. He's a bit of a spindly figure. Roy took that well. Oh, Seaman improvised well, because that could easily have been construed as a back pass, although it was probably more of a deflection. Seaman was taking no chances and kicked it away rather than picking the ball up. Here come Holland again. Ronald de Boer, Roy. Wouters for Rijkaard. Overmars, a lot of orange shirts forward here. It will be a desperate time for England to concede a goal. And they haven't before half-time. It's a goalless first half, although Frank Rijkaard will want to look again at the replays. It won't change the course of history, but he felt he'd got through, I'm sure, when he put the ball past David Seaman. Otherwise, the tension has been an important factor. Look at this again. But it is still 0-0. England have had their moments, Merson particularly with a fine run, the shot from Tony Dorigo and the chance for Tony Adams. But as the players make their way to hear the words of wisdom from Dick Advocaat and from Graham Taylor, the half-time news on a huge night in Rotterdam. There is Graham Taylor now. It's 0-0. Sinton, who was very much a candidate to be in from the start, now off Sheffield Wednesday, replacing a clubmate. Dick Advocaat will just get to his seat in time for the restart. When Holland have had to digest with, I'm sure, plenty of help from the local television coverage here, what has been quite clearly proved to be a perfectly legitimate goal that Frank Rijkaard had disallowed shortly before half-time. The Germans, of course, always said that England won the World Cup in 1966 on the decision of a linesman. Well, here we have a German linesman helping the England cause by flagging for offside against Rijkaard. So it's 0-0. And here's Roy. Platt. Merson pulling to the left. And a chance to attack to Wolf here. Koeman getting across to try and give some cover. It hits Ronald Koeman on the chest, the referee indicating straight away there were some hopeful roars from the English contingent. Let me remind you once again that each country has one more game after this. When England play San Marino, an away game, it will be played actually in Italy rather than San Marino itself. And Holland go to Poland, who at half-time tonight are drawing 0-0 at home to Norway. Well, Paul Ince now, a cause for concern. One can only assume that Graham Taylor wasn't very happy with the shape of England's midfield on that right-hand side in the first half. Palmer more used to playing a central role, up and back. But he was very much to the right-hand side of Ince. And Andy Sinton, who is a very versatile character, is able perhaps to move into wider positions with more comfort. Well, Jan Wouters was properly criticised for the use of an elbow in putting Paul Gascoigne out of the match at Wembley, fracturing Gascoigne's cheekbone, and very lucky to escape any punishment for it. You can hardly blame him for the injury that he's inflicted on Ince. It was Ince's own desire to get the ball. He's been so spectacular over the past couple of years. He really has been a greatly improved and far more responsible player, and definitely one of England's successes. responsible enough to be given the captaincy twice in the tournament in June in the United States. And all England supporters will be pleased that he's responded to treatment there. Sinton felt he might have got a corner. To Wolf. Parker not distracted by Ronald de Boer's presence. Shearer feeling Frank de Boer behind him and holding him off unfairly in the mind of the referee. Karl Josef Assenmacher from Germany. Sharp. Owen Koeman. Has been a game somewhat of stops and starts, but the quest for the ball has been for the most part honourable. Platt. Platt again. Rijkaard reading it. Bergkamp with plenty of space here to show off his wares. And he looked for a shot of stealth there to try and slide it past David Seaman. Seeing the goalkeeper on the move off his line. And my word, that was brilliantly placed and very well saved. The reach of Seaman rescuing England then. Owen Koeman will take the corner. The back header from De Wolf is misdirected. Sharp. Shearer hasn't had too much support, hasn't had a great deal of the sort of service that he thrives on, but I must say his recovery from a knee injury that threatened his career has been rapid, relatively so. He's been out of international football for 11 months, and it will take a while just to get back to the special demands of it. Roy. Here's Wouters. Bergkamp. Adams' header. Wouters trying to read it. A jarring collision with David Platt. Some news involving other British fortunes. In Group 4, Wales have beaten Cyprus by 2-0. This on the night when Belgium, the group leaders, have been beaten 2-1 in Romania. A lot of football still to play in that particular section. Can Roy reach it? Dutch hopes are with him, and he's up to the task. Bergkamp. Oh. Well, he's a player not of brute force at all. He's not the battering ram, but he's the sword sliding in to try and kill England off here. And you just wonder how many more times Dennis Bergkamp can get into shooting range without actually putting the ball past David Seaman. Bergkamp, a great fan of British football, actually got the name Dennis because his father was a great admirer of Dennis Law. Free kick to Holland. Ronald Koeman moves forward. David Seaman is not happy with the wall. There's only 2 there at the moment. Perhaps that's now all that he wants. Well, can Koeman come up with one of his devastating free kicks here? There's your answer. He hasn't been a fixture in the Barcelona side this season, had a couple of games on the bench. Seaman being told to get on with it by the referee. England have won only 4 of their last 15 internationals. Put some of the record straight a bit against Poland with an outstanding performance in the circumstances. Prior to that, their other recent victories, 2 against Turkey and 1 against San Marino, hardly matches that go down in the record books as great English victories because they're so expected. Forward by Frank de Boer. Ronald de Boer just helping it on. Lee Sharp was ducking into cover there. He was the player that Rijkaard stole away from to get the ball in the net when it was improperly ruled out. Roy! If he'd taken that better, there was a chance there. And Bergkamp. And still. And it breaks for Platt. Helped on by Sharp, touched back to him by Merson. Shearer's got 2 defenders occupied in the centre. And the ball doesn't come anywhere near that particular area. Now Shearer can fight for it with Koeman the younger. Frank de Boer was waving Brian Roy into space behind Paul Parker. He delivered a useful pass. Bergkamp coming in on the cross now. England cope. And again, just with Dorigo, of course, who's got to be careful with the timing of his tackles. He's got no margin for error, and is that a sign of English nerves as Seaman just whacks it out of play? 10 minutes played in the second half. Koeman, space to move into. So his brother Irwin. Roy. Well, it was away from the ball that Ronald de Boer went down, and he wasn't complaining. And here's Shearer trying to put some speed into his stride, but spotted by Jan Wouters, a Dutch Mr. Dependability. Adams lets it run. Down on the bench, Rinus Israel leaning back, says to Dick Advocat, calm down. The odd thing is that if Holland don't qualify, there's a greater chance of Advocat retaining his job. The absolute opposite true of Graham Taylor. Roy. Bergkamp. Ronald de Boer. Adams is there. And England hold firm again. Shearer steering it off to Sinton, trying to knock one over the top of Ronald Koeman, and it's worked here. And Ronald Koeman has pulled back David Platt, and it's a penalty for England. Koeman says it was outside. And what's the referee done now? He's cautioned Koeman. And on the advice of the linesman, well, it may well be the linesman has made the right verdict here. Koeman knew what he was doing, but if that was outside, a yellow card. And England are very angry indeed. And Graham Taylor is the most frustrated of all. He thought he had a penalty. He would think also that Koeman should have been sent off, and all England get is a free kick on the edge, and Koeman will be counting his blessings at the moment that he's still on the pitch. And that the ball is not yet in the Dutch net. England's answer here could be an emphatic free kick. They've got Merson. They've got De Rigo. It's De Rigo, and it was Jan Wouters who got in the way. And that's increased the feeling, which was pretty intense in any case. Well, my impression was, and now Erwin Koeman comes in late, and that's another indication of the feeling. David Platt went to pick up the ball after he was knocked over. There's the incident. Koeman very high on Parker. But David Platt, a moment or two ago, when he was sent tumbling down by Ronald Koeman, he went to get the ball because he is England's penalty taker. But he was not allowed to put it on the spot. And here we are with drama upon drama. Maybe that, the Dutch will feel, evens out what happened to Rijkaard. Shearer. Here's Lee Sharp, first time and wide. Shearer cutting it back. It was a difficult cross to deal with, particularly for Wouters. And Sharp, who's been amongst the goals in the early weeks of the English season with Manchester United, couldn't produce what would have been his first for England. That's what the managers will tell you, how their fate hangs in the balance on a decision that goes for you or against you. There have been a couple here tonight that will be talked about for a long time. Overmars. Wouters. Frank de Boer. Ronald de Boer. Wouters. No tackles from England. Wouters tackles now. And it's going to be given on the edge again. Jan Wouters. Out came Gary Pallister. In came Tony Adams. Adams felt he played the ball. He was the second defender. Pallister, I think, was the player penalised. They want a red card. The Dutch want a goal. And they're as well placed to get it as England were, right on the edge of the other area, only minutes ago. Ronald Koeman is surely the favourite here. The Dutch have set up their own wall. Koeman, and it's got to be taken again. And Wouters, who blocked successfully and was pretty close. Ince was obviously closer, and the referee has said that's a yellow card. You can't charge down free kicks like that. But someone's got to try again. The whole fate of England's World Cup campaign could hang on what happens here. And indeed the Dutch, in a much more positive way, of course. Koeman tries to steer it. Oh, you can only admire that. That's genius. And England are on the receiving end of a free kick of the highest class from Ronald Koeman. The first one charged down, the second one required the most delicate of chips, and it was too good for David Seaman. It was too good for England. Seaman couldn't see it coming through the pack, I'm sure. And Koeman has scored for Holland for the 12th time in his career, but surely never more vitally than this. And how will England respond? They'll feel aggrieved. They'll feel that they should have had an opportunity to score from the penalty spot earlier before they got a free kick that they couldn't take advantage of. And now Graham Taylor needs some of his team to stand up and be counted. This is crisis time. But for the Dutch, well, there's a contrast. England now really up against it. Delight for the Dutch. Free kick against Bergkamp. England have got Ian Wright warming up. Dick Advocaat will keep a wary eye on the watch now. Under Graham Taylor, England have drawn too many games, often when they've been in the lead, notably in this group against Norway at home and against Holland at home. But they came back from the dead, it seemed, in Poland when Ian Wright came on to equalise. Oh! How cruel can it be? That's Paul Merson, the inside of the post, and out into play again. That's a matter of millimetres between Merson replying in kind. If England don't equalise, that moment will haunt them. It was a free kick in Koeman's class, and you can give no higher praise than that. And England now have to give it absolutely everything, and they're certainly giving all the signs of responding to the need, but they need a break. They have a corner. And I wonder if Wright comes on, whether Uli van Hobbel, the quickest Dutch defender who's on the bench, might be brought on to play up against him. Ince. The header by De Boer. The risk, of course, as England chase the game now, is that the Dutch might pick them off on the break. Sinton. Rui has to pick clear, and he does to one of the bigger cheers of the evening. "25 minutes to go. Holland 1, England 0. The game tilted decisively the way of the Dutch by the player on the ball here. Ronald Koeman. Ince trying to embarrass Wouters, who was a bit too long in the tooth to be caught like that. Sinton. It's going to be the direct way for England now. A stress for Ronald de Boer up front to try and get the ball and hold it up for Dick Advocaat, and give the Dutch some breathing space at the back. Roy. Bergkamp. With Ronald de Boer, Bergkamp, and Rijkaard, and Seaman, you can say, keeps England in the World Cup with a double save of the highest calibre from Dennis Bergkamp there. To reach it was great, and just as Rijkaard was absolutely certain he was going to score, Seaman had other ideas. And England are still in it. The lead is still only 1. And it's only a matter of seconds before Wright is going to be into the play if England delay the taking of the free kick, and Van Hobbel gets ready as well. To Rigo. Encouraged to shoot, and the swerve carrying it, I think, further wide of De Goey's right-hand post. Still they can't get right completely ready as the seconds pass. And Bergkamp. Dennis Bergkamp has done what he's threatened to do all night. He's taken England apart here. And there may be no coming back now. He skipped aside of Gary Pallister and took the shot early, and it took Seaman by surprise. The change of direction did for Pallister, and the instant nature of the strike left Seaman down and England out. 22 minutes or so to go. Ian Wright is on. Here's Sharp. Rijkaard. It was a brilliant goal by Bergkamp. And the Dutch have had to delve deep here. Shearer. Corner. Paul Mersoner's come off. So it's one Arsenal player for another. And Sinton to swing the corner in. England clutching at straws now. They have another corner. But Holland universally admired for the style of their side in the 70s, carried on by successive generations, have found two magical goals here, worthy of Cruyff and Van Basten and past heroes, and let's hope Van Basten becomes a hero again. He's still got so much left to offer from the generation of Frank Rijkaard, but it's Dennis Bergkamp who bewildered England with a quite breathtaking second goal, not one that England will be pleased with. The defending was left to be second-rate, but the strike was superb, and Holland, who were huffing and puffing to defend a one-goal lead, have a cushion now of 2. And Rijkaard gets a booking, which has some significance, because that will keep him out of the Dutch last game against Poland away. As far as we know, it is still goalless in the other Group 2 game tonight, being played in Poland. Poland 0, Norway 0. Parker. Shearer lets it run. And Ronald Koeman is going to get, I think, an extra defender to help him, or maybe in the shape of Arjen Winter, rather than Van Gobbel, who is still warming up. But it looks as though they're getting Winter, the Lazio player, prepared for action. There's no time to consider that as the game goes on, and Ince is sent flying by John de Wolf. "18 minutes to go." Dorigo, that rather smacked more of desperation, and that certainly is a word that comes to mind for England. Arjen Winter, who of course is a club colleague of Paul Gascoigne at Lazio, and there's been a lot of banter Saw a Sherlock Holmes type figure in the crowd there. It's part of the local publicity here. But it's a mystery here that not even the great fictional detective, I think, could solve for England. But who knows? Football has great capacity for surprise. If England could just get one and rattle the Dutch nerves. Ince. Shearer, found well by Adams. Sinton scampering down the touchline, it's out of play. Which gives me time to tell you that Norway are in front in Poland now. Not 1-0, but 2-0, which takes them to the brink now tonight of celebrating qualification, and means that there is only one place left for Holland to fight for. Overmars, who has not been as influential in the second half as he was in the opening half an hour of the game, comes off. It's a defensive move to bring on Winter, who can do a job in midfield or deeper if required. Graham Taylor now is standing. You might have just got a glimpse of him there in front of the England dugout in the blue tracksuit. A tormented figure. Sinton. "15 minutes left. It's a joyous scoreline for Holland. For Dutch fans watching all around the world. The Dutch win would boost their points tally to 13. And increase their goal difference beyond England's at the moment now to +5, and it would really need then Dutch capitulation in Poland next month, and England will just have to hope for getting on for double figures against San Marino, and it's not a set of circumstances that you'd find at all likely. But it will, it seems, unless there's a dramatic turnaround here, be all that Graham Taylor's left to contemplate, as those critics who poured scorn on his selection will feel that all their critical comment has been justified in terms of the result. Certainly in terms of the performance, England will feel that one or two moments have gone against them. The penalty appeal, the Merson free kick against the inside of the post. But Holland can point to a perfectly good goal for Frank Rijkaard being disallowed before half-time. The Wouters. And after that spell of intense effort, once the second goal had gone in, England now starting to be outmanoeuvred and having to chase just to get a touch of the ball. Pallister. Shearer fighting to get in front of De Wolf, being pushed and harried along the way unfairly. Free kick to England. taken by Sharp. Adams wins it. Good jump defensively by Rijkaard. There's no way out for the Dutch except just to hack the ball upfield as Wouters did. Slammed back by Seaman. And Roy caught offside. Sinton. Here's Wright. Immediately seized upon. Sinton. Platt. No need for niceties for Holland at the back now, but Bergkamp, has he got the better of Pallister again? Pallister has his say in the end. Looking to set Sharp away, he's done that. Ian Wright's in the centre, Shearer of course is there, it needs a good ball from Sharp here, and that's one of his strengths. It didn't quite come off for England. And there's no room for nearly situations now. Someone has to deliver, and soon. Stuart Pearce, who has had such dreams of leading England into the World Cup finals. Just a spectator tonight. Shearer! That's a very important save by Ed de Goey. He's got a free kick as well. Started to come, hoped that Frank de Boer would get there. Alan Shearer beat him, and then there was a bit of a wild lunge by Adams. Shearer. Ian Wright coming in. De Goey doesn't fail the Dutch again. He's a quiet, unassuming man, Ed de Goey. But they love him in Rotterdam for his work with the club that plays its football in this stadium, Feyenoord, and now playing very much as the first choice for his country. A problem position really after the international retirement of Hans van Breukelen. And it's a Cantona-esque cry for Ed de Goey from the crowd, and Dick Advocaat, who is one of the game's gentlemen, and you don't envy him his situation, that his good work in the group will only lead to Johan Cruyff taking over next summer. Graham Taylor involved in a lengthy discussion with the fourth official. I think he's concerned about how close the England manager is getting to the touchline out of the technical area, which is permitted now. The change of legislation recently to allow coaching from the sidelines. Rijkaard. Wouters. Here's De Rigo. Pallister. Sinton pushing to the right-hand side. England trying to build through midfield with David Platt. Parker. Sinton. Charged down by Owen Koeman, but with the use of an arm. Parker with the free kick. England desperately hoping to get ahead to this one. They've done so through Platt. Out by Rijkaard. I think where the critics will point to Graham Taylor will be in the using of Carlton Palmer, who of course was taken off at half-time. It's perceived as a negative choice. England's second substitute now in trouble himself, Ian Wright. With just one goal to show for his efforts for England. This is his 15th cap tonight. Such a contrast to his striking rate with Arsenal. 66 goals in 93 appearances for his club. Well, they're drinking it in down on the Dutch bench there. Johnny Bosman leaning back, who must have been disappointed not to be involved out on the pitch after his hat-trick against San Marino. But they found the players to score the goals, and Dennis Bergkamp, who's had so much top billing over the last couple of years, and scored splendidly to get Holland back into the game at Wembley in April with the insurance goal here. Six minutes plus stoppage time to go. Wanted long by De Wolf. That's by Adams, and then Rijkaard coming in. England wanting an offside. They're not getting it. Rijkaard again. Shearer. Well, the whistle had gone, and De Boer claiming that he didn't hear it, that he was being shoved and buffeted by Shearer. He was only trying to get the ball to take the free kick. Well, it would be a frantic finale if England could score from this. Sharp. And there are some old-fashioned looks being given in Lee Sharp's direction there from some of his teammates. Sharp. Well, England had the ball, and now they take a quick free kick. And the advantage was momentarily denied them. In striking for goal. Roy. Chance for the Dutch to really rub it in here. Roy not taking the ball fully with him. David Platt. Shearer's in the centre. Get the ball in the box is the message now, and hope something happens. Ince. Right, we'll get there before De Wolf. Rijkaard. Well, in the unlikely event that it would come down still to goal difference, England shouldn't be letting themselves get exposed and letting Holland improve their position even more in the closing stages here. Shearer. Well, it does mean that the whole of England will become supporters of Poland on the night of November the 17th, hoping that they can find some inspiration and beat the Dutch, and that England can go on a massive goal hunt in Bologna. That's the only way the World Cup finals can happen for England, and the only way that Graham Taylor can stay in a job. Sinton, that's a clever dummy. Bit of lack of concentration there by Erwin Koeman. Roy, but it all comes to very little for England. Well, there haven't been too many occasions when Holland have been able to let their fans give out one or two olays for passing the ball around. That was perhaps the nearest that we've had. Roy. Bergkamp. Here's Rijkaard. They can run down the clock now. Holland, Wouters. was another example of the development of Ronald de Boer, who was sold by Ajax a couple of years ago because they thought he wouldn't really make the grade for them, and then they brought him back again from Twente Enschede. Referee looks at his watch. You'll find there are a couple of minutes left. Israel now prepared to get up and join in, a member of the Dutch squad in 1974. They've got to the final, and his job is to get to Uli van Gobbel stripped for action. He's had the call. There's no need for risk for Holland now. Really hung up by Frank de Boer. That's Aaron Winter making sure that Seaman was back in the right place. You'll hear plenty of analysis about this game, about moments in it which went one way and then the other. England getting their luck when Rijkaard had his goal improperly chalked off, as the replay showed. He was clearly onside when he got the ball past Seaman in the first half. Then the tale of the two incidents that led to free kicks on the edge of the area. England didn't score from theirs when they felt that they had a real claim for a penalty, thought they'd be given a penalty. Holland didn't score from theirs at the first attempt when Ince was booked for charging the ball down. But Ronald Koeman struck the decisive blow with the second attempt, and England have never recovered. Well, you do hear about a minority of the Dutch fans that besmirch the good name of football in this country, but the great majority have a wonderful feeling for football, as you're hearing now. Chants that were part of the World Cups of the 74 and 78 that echoed around West Germany when Dutch were European champions in '88. And so many of these supporters will feel now that they're going to make plans for next summer in the United States. Roy. Could be another one here for Rijkaard, who's kept going to the last, and though the legs might be tiring as he is now the wrong side of 30, he's still sensing out the position of maximum danger there. Off comes Ronald de Boer. It's another cosmetic exercise, really, this, just to let the time pass. And de Boer, who's fully justified his selection. The first time he started a game for Holland after scoring appearances as substitute twice, home and away against San Marino. This is very much a different kettle of fish, and he's come through well. On comes Uli van Gobbel, another of the Feyenoord clan. A player of massive build and electrifying pace. Roy, Bergkamp chasing this one, he can take it on the volley. Not quite, because he wasn't to know that Tony Dorigo was catching him up and just catching his foot at the crucial moment. Shearer. England have tried their best, but it hasn't been good enough. Bergkamp. Winter. Van Gobbel. This is Brian Roy, unusually on the right, but the ball very quickly on his left foot. Rijkaard. Bergkamp with no need to bust the gut here. Winter. Could have really rubbed English noses in the dirt there. This World Cup qualifying game of great importance. And it's over. Holland have won it. And the World Cup finals beckon for them. Ronald Koeman's delightful free kick. Dennis Bergkamp's brilliantly taken second goal. The Dutch dream for England, semi-finalists in 1990. They're now very, very unlikely to be amongst the elite in 1994. A nice touch there between winning and losing manager. Graham Taylor's time at the helm is surely close to an end. Really has been an evening when winner takes virtually all and the losers left clutching at straws. Holland on the high of a vital victory, and England left to count the cost of almost certain failure. We can't say that they're out of it yet. Holland still have to go to Poland. England still play in San Marino, where they'll hope to get a net full of goals and believe that Poland can still dent the Dutch dream. But it's Holland's night tonight. They've beaten England here in Rotterdam.